Hi everyone, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. If you've seen a previous video of mine and you're wondering why I look exactly the same, it's because I'm pre-filming besties. I want to get this video done. I'm so excited about it and I couldn't wait to film it. So that's why we're doing that today. In this video, I'm going to be looking at every single TBR I have set so far in the year of 2023. I know that I didn't set a TBR for every single month, so I'm not sure how many videos there will be. I will be reacting to those previous TBRs and checking in on how well I did. I think that this will be fun just because I'm a mood reader, so I know that I have not read most of those books on those TBRs, but I could surprise myself and I could surprise you and have actually read a lot of those. I genuinely have no idea because I forget what was on the TBR if I don't make a separate pile for them, and I only started doing that like this month. To get some disclaimers out the way before I break the video down for you, the very first person that I ever saw do this was Riley from Riley Marie. I absolutely love when she did that book series, and I'm giving her all the credit for this idea. It is not my idea. I saw her do this, but of course someone else could have done this as well. If someone else has done that, then credit to them too. We're gonna have read and liked, read and didn't like, hard DNF, which means I have no intentions of ever reading this book. I tried to and I said, I don't fucking think so. Soft DNF in that I was reading it, but it wasn't really working for me at that time. And I figured I might return to it later on. Didn't read and still interested, and didn't read and am no longer interested in. And once I have that list, I'm gonna go through, pick the books that are piquing my interest the most, and we'll be reading it together. So let's get started. I am going to have headphones on just so that the audio is not like feeding back for you. I don't want two different audios interfering. So the only thing that you should be hearing is me, and of course I'll be recording the screen. So the first book of January that I was supposed to read, it was Slewfoot. I actually DNF'd Slewfoot, but it was a soft DNF. The misogyny, the religious propaganda, the disgustingness of humans really was just not what I was in the mood to read. I wanted something more lighthearted. So we're starting off great with a DNF. I do think I would go back to Slewfoot, by the way. Okay, what's the second book?
The book.
Babel!
That makes me wonder if 13 books is realistic.
Not the two DNFs in a row. Okay, Babel, unlike Slewfoot, would be a medium DNF. Slewfoot was definitely a soft DNF because I knew I would go back to it. Babel, I have attempted to read since DNFing it, and I've attempted multiple times. I'm just not loving it. I don't like books with academic settings. It's not something that I personally am enjoying. Like, I recognize the importance of the conversations that are being had. For the similar reasons as Slewfoot, I was just not in a mental state to read it, but I also just don't really enjoy Babel. I may come back to it like years down the road, but I certainly am not coming back to it this year. So this is a hard DNF. All right, what's book number 3 here?
We have The Shuddering by Anya Alborn.
Yes, a win! The Shuddering by Anya Alborn. I did read that book and I liked that book, honestly. It was a good time for what it was. I won't be telling you about these books, by the way. Not the point. This is not a review video. This is a check-in video. Book 4. A book I had checked out from the library that I better fucking get to. Did I get to it?
That is The Dead Romantic.
I did get to The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, I didn't get to it from the library. I did end up purchasing the physical book because I didn't like the audiobook, but this is a book that I read and liked. It's like a 3-star read for me. We're not doing as awful as I thought. There's no book I haven't attempted to read yet.
Then I have
Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard. I hard DNF this. Absolutely not. I read the first 10 pages, was like, absolutely not. Went on Goodreads, read the reviews, and knew that it was I'm never going to read this. So hard DNF. I'm happy. I attempted to read a lot of the books on this list, so far at least. Okay. Book number 6.
Daisy Darker is a book that I own.
Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I own this book. I haven't read this. This is our first. Did not read, but still interested. Our 7th book.
So I try to balance this list while reading horror.
I appreciated the thought that I put into trying to balance this list.
So I put Part of Your World.
I did not read this book in January. To be fair, a lot of these books I did not read in January. But Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Your girl fucking read it. I read it this June and I really loved it. Hell yeah. By the way, if I'm super loud, apologies. I can't hear myself with my headphones on. But read it and loved it. The best part about winning is winning. All right, book 9
is Ninth House by Lee Bardugo.
Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. I read it! I read this book. I loved it. I listened to the audiobook. I went out and purchased a special edition of its sequel, read and liked. That's 4 books that I've read and liked so far of the 9 books that we've looked at. Winning. All right, what is book number 10?
Emotional Damage.
Emotional Damage, truly. We Spread by Ian Reid. I didn't read it. I haven't read it. It's just very emotionally intense and taxing. I haven't attempted to read it. I haven't been ready to read it. So it can join its brethren in didn't read, but still interested. All right, book 11.
I'm going to read Ivan by Sophie Lark.
Ivan by Sophie Lark. I read this book and I had such a damn good time with it. I did not think I would be doing this well. 5 books read of the 10 or 11 books we have looked at. Winning. Okay, book 12.
Last few, we have Confessions
by Kane Nato. I DNF'd this book. I didn't get it. I think I was also just in the wrong state of mind. So that is another soft DNF. I think I will get back to it. I'm just not sure when.
House by Grady Hendrix.
How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I read this book. I did like this book. 6 books read of the 12 books we have looked at. That's half of the TBR. All right, what's book number 14 here?
Which is a
I already
novella.
see it. Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. I did read this book. I read this when I was doing like reading a book a day every day for a week. If you do want to watch that video, it is linked. I read this book. It was okay. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't love it. So, boom, it goes in the red category. That's the end of the January TBR. First of all, thank you, Past Me, for the timestamps. Very, very, very helpful. That's really, really good. Let's see if I made a TBR for February. I'm very sure the answer is no. Oh, I did make one. Books to read in February. Look at me go. What's my first book to read this month?
Starting with 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson.
8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. I read this book. I didn't like it. I gave it like 2 stars. What's next?
She's beauty. She is grace.
The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. I didn't read this book and I'm still interested in it. I just have such a hard time reading my fairy loot books. I don't know why. I just never get to them. Didn't read and still interested in. We haven't had a didn't read and not interested so far.
Death Note Volume 1 and 2.
Death Note 1 and 2. So I have the black edition of Death Note. I DNF'd this book. I got like 20 pages into it. I was just like, this is a little too intense for me, and I find our main character incredibly irritating. I know it's like a deeper conversation about like evil and absolute power, but I didn't like it. So it was a hard DNF for me. I still have it. I may change my mind 2 or 3 years from now, but I'm not changing my mind this year.
The Hookup Plan. So this is a book I picked up at Target. As you can see from the sticker, I didn't know that Target had clearance books.
The Hookup Plan. The Hookup Plan. I haven't read this book. I'm still interested in it, but I haven't read this book.
Another book I picked up at Target because I couldn't resist it, okay? This is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert.
Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. Oh my gosh, besties. I bought this book against my better intuition and knowing that I was not going to like a YA book. I got like 50% through this book and then I DNF'd it. It's a soft DNF, but it's a soft DNF in the way that I want to finish this book, not in the way that I think I would enjoy it if I read it at a different time. I think that my thoughts and feelings are still going to be the same about it. I'm just not loving it. Too much comedy and banter. which is a very ridiculous thing to say, but that's how I felt. I was like, I want the relationship. I don't want them to constantly banter. Like, for me, I'm not a banter girly. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, their banter was so great. I'm there for their chemistry. I'm there for their relationship. And this just was not serving it to me. So it's a soft DNF because I want to finish it. I just don't think I would ever give this book more than 3 stars. Next.
Then we have While We Were Dating by Jasmine Guillory. I've tried Jasmine Guillory before. I've talked about this book before.
I'm an idiot. I should have been writing down the names of the books. While We Were Dating by Jasmine Guillory. I read this book, and if you're not new here, you know that I absolutely love this book. I also read this during my reading a book a day every day for a week challenge. What is my next one? Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I didn't read this, and I didn't attempt to read this. Sorry, I'm still interested in it, but I did not read this. All right, next book.
And finally on my list is You Should See Me in a Crown.
You Should See Me in a Crown. I read this book. I read it. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read and super cute for what it was.
Ninth House reading Daughter of No World.
Ninth House was a repeat. As you know, I read that. Daughter of No World, I have been reading all year. It's fine. I haven't DNF'd it. I'm still reading it. I'm just like reading it whenever I get the urge to pick it up. I just put it down and don't care. I don't know what category I would put that in. I'm gonna say didn't read and still interested because I haven't finished it. Even though I am still reading it, I never DNF'd this book. I'm just in the process of reading it. That's it. Those are all of the books of the month. Overall, pretty happy. Completely have lost track at this point of what anything is. So we'll do a final tally, but of course I'm updating this as we go. Did I do one for March? No, but I did do one for April, and there are timestamps.
This Vicious Grace.
This Vicious Grace. As I mentioned, I have an issue with reading fairy lit books, so no, I did not read This Vicious Grace. And yes, I still am very much interested in reading it.
I will also be reading Belladonna by Adeline Grace.
I will also be reading Belladonna. Spoiler alert, no, I won't be reading Belladonna. I did not read Belladonna. I did not attempt to read Belladonna. It is still a book that I'm interested in. Didn't read, but still interested.
Book that I'll be reading in that video is Daughter of the Moon Goddess.
Another fairy lit book. Do you know where this is going? Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I didn't read it, and I did not attempt to read it, so didn't read, and still interested.
I'll be reading The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarif.
The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. I did end up reading. I really enjoyed this book. I read it during my Miami vlog. If you want to see my full thoughts on that, this was such a fun time. Read and liked.
If I Can Give You That by Michael Gray Bulla. We are following Gael.
This is like auto timestamped by YouTube. It's If I Can Give You That, which I don't remember this book at all. I don't remember ever putting it on my TBR at all. But why does it say we are following Gael? I don't know what that is. But no, still interested in this. Just have completely forgot that it was ever on my radar. So didn't read and still interested.
One of my most anticipated books that I have not gotten to, and that
one of my most anticipated books
is Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wisner.
Mistakes Were Made. You know how I felt about this book, besties. I attempted to read this and I did not like it. It was a hard DNF. It did not work for me. The characters were way too immature for the taboo nature of their relationship to work. They only had sexual chemistry, and I had absolutely the very difficult task of believing why this woman would sabotage the relationship with her daughter for a quick fuck with a college student. Did not like this. Hard DNF. Daughter of No World again. Won't be including any repeats, by the way, in the count. So if the count at the end is skewed, it's because I'm not including the books that showed up on multiple TBRs.
The final book that I am definitely planning to get to next month is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chen.
That's what we've been waiting for.
That's still what we've been waiting for. No, I didn't read this. Still have it on KU. Still, I'm keeping my little chokehold on it, but I haven't read this book. It intimidates me, although I really, really, really do want to read it. So didn't read, still interested. All right, did I make one for May? I think that's the last book. Yeah, that's the last one. All right, did I make a TBR for May? No, I didn't make a TBR for May. I made one for June. Okay. June TBR was the first time I was doing a whole random prompt thing.
One is The Bewitching of Evelyn Jones.
The Bewitching of Evelyn Jones. I did read this book. It was super cute. I enjoyed it a lot. It definitely fulfilled my little inner child goosebump craving. Okay, my next thing was published in the last year.
Santa Claus is Going to Town.
Santa Claus is Going to Town to Me. Great book.
This is If You Still Recognize Me.
Okay, If You Still Recognize Me by Cynthia So. I absolutely have not read this book, but I still am interested. Queer YA fiction, you know that's my thing.
I don't watch TV and I don't watch movies, and if you're new to my channel, I always say that.
It's still true. I don't watch TV and I don't watch movies. I just watch YouTube all day.
This book has gotten hyped. It's Fourth Wing.
Fourth Wing. I could throw up. I DNF'd this book. I quite honestly hated it. It was a hard DNF and I have no intentions of ever finishing it. It is an absolutely not. I did make my own rule here. I'm purchasing a book just because of hype, and I really should not have, because I knew I was not going to like it. And I chose to believe that I would like it because everybody else liked it. Nope. I'm very sure I didn't read it. I don't even know what it is, but I'm very sure that I did not read it.
Came up on a list, and it is a
Came up on a list. I think I know what it is.
A 2023 release. I believe it came out quite recently. It's Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out.
Still interested in this book. Queer, coming of age with a grandfather who has come out of the closet in his 70s and his young grandson who is still closeted. I want to read this. I just didn't get to it. It wasn't available yet and I wasn't going to purchase it. So didn't read, but still interested. We started off strong, and a book with nature in the title.
And it's sapphic and it's vampires and it's gothic and it's totally
I forgot about this. A Long Time Dead. Sapphic gothic vampire story. Still want to read it. Still want to read this. Just reminded me of all of the books I have put off. Didn't read, still interested. A book that actually fits with the prompt. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. No. Six of Crows, hard DNF. I have attempted to read this book 7 times at minimum. Does not work for me. I don't care. Did I miss one?
Between The Sunbearer Trials and
Sunbearer Trials. The Sunbearer Trials. Have not read that. Still interested. All right, that catches up all the way to my most recent TBR, which is obviously the one that I made for August. I did not set a July TBR, and it's August 1st. So no fucking duh that I have not read any of the books on my August TBR. All right, so to give you the final count of all of the books that appeared on my previous TBRs that I've done this year and how we have done. There were 10 books that I read and liked, 1 book that I read and didn't like, 6 books that I attempted to read and said absolutely not and hard DNF them, 3 books that I attempted to read and recognized that it was just the wrong time to read them or I wasn't interested in that moment, so soft DNF. Our biggest category of all of them, 15 books that I didn't read and I'm still interested in. That's not the worst. That is not the worst, because if we look at the books that I hard DNF'd, I attempted to read 9 books and just said it's not working for me right now, besties. 6 of those 9 books I attempted to read and recognized that they were absolutely not for me. 10 of those books I did read, plus the 1 book I didn't like. 11 of those books I did read. So you know what? A win is a win. I attempted to read most of those books. Many of them were DNF'd. Many of them were read. And I honestly did so much better than I thought I would. So I'm gonna go back, watch these videos again, actually write down the names of the books that I did not read, and come back at you with the updated list of what I'm going to be reading for part 2 of this video in our TBR redo reading vlog. Right, besties, apologies. I know the angle has changed about 20,000 times in this video, but I do have my final list of books I have either soft DNF or am still interested in and have not read. If you still recognize me, Arthur and Teddy are coming out. This Vicious Grace, Belladonna, Daughter of the Moon Goddess, If I Can Give You That, She Who Became the Sun, Last Tale of the Flower Bride, The Hookup Plan, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, Concrete Rose, Slewfoot, Daisy Darker, We Spread, and Confessions. Those are all of the books that could potentially be the reads, and what I'm going to do for part 2 of this video coming at some point in the upcoming weeks is read the first chapter of all of the books I have not previously read. So that is 10 books in total, knowing that I have already read the first chapter of This Vicious Grace, Belladonna, Daughter of the Moon Goddess, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. I am 60% of the way through and have DNF, so it would just be a resumed read. Slewfoot, I read the first 5 chapters of, so no need for me to go back and read the first chapter. Daisy Darker, I did already read the first chapter of, and Confessions, I have already listened to the first 2 chapters. So the other 10 books are the ones I'm going to be doing try a chapter style to start that video off to get the final TBR, where I'm aiming to have about 4 books to read in that video for part 1 of a TBR redo series. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I know I definitely just personally enjoyed going back and looking at all of the TBRs I previously set and how I've been doing with actually reading off of that. Let me know if there are any books of the books I just showed you that you think I should prioritize for that video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you are not already. It just supports me in this channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!